All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of We're Talking Sports. We've got a new camera angle going. Probably the last time we're going to have this camera angle.
That's right.
Since this is the last time we're probably going to be in here for multiple reasons.
Yep. But it's good to be back together. Well, we'll get to the good, positive,
Gang's all here. Yeah. We had a fun week with the draft. We have a lot to talk about with that. NBA playoffs is in full steam. We're on to the second round.
Yep.
But first, we want to talk about the worldwide leader in sports, ESPN.
Yeah, I mean, ESPN over the last week, if you've lived under a rock, you don't know what's going on. But massive amounts of layoffs, and probably some of the guys that we've watched almost probably since we began watching sports. Some people that have been there, some of my favorite writers. But an interesting article that I saw that was posted was basically if you were a one-sport person, you were cut. And they're trying to go towards more entertainment shows, kind of like what First Take is. They have, SportsCenter 6 with Jameel Hill and Michael Smith. And then
NBA has a new show, The Jam or whatever, with Tracy McGrady and Steven Jackson.
And then they have Van Pelt, and then they're doing the Intentional Talk, which is going to be signed with Major League Baseball channel, or the MLB Network, which takes me to my next question for you guys. There was, I guess, hot topic that now that this agreement has gone in with MLB, that apparently they're going to do more shows like that and possibly sign agreements with NBA TV and NFL Network. Do you think that would be smart for ESPN to kind of get rid of some of their product and put it on other channels?
No, because NBA TV, which is both NBA TV and TNT,
right,
and NFL Network, that's their two biggest competitions. So
right. So does ESPN own the MLB Network?
Disney owns 33% in the MLB Network. That's why it kind of worked out.
Okay.
But I think Intentional Talk is about as far as it will go.
Yeah. They've
Kevin
already
Millar and Chris Russo, the two guys that do it, are fairly. It's more on the lines of First Take, but they actually talk about baseball as well. It's not them arguing; it's more them making fun of each other.
Okay.
So it's kind of entertaining, but it's not so much a information show. It's not like Baseball Tonight. It's closer to that debate.
So do you think ESPN going towards this more of an entertainment look is a good thing for them? A lot of people were frustrated that they didn't get rid of the entertainment shows and go back to the old SportsCenter. I mean, obviously, when we were growing up watching sports, we had Dan Patrick, Stuart Scott, guys like that helped really put ESPN to that next level. Do you think that they would be better off going back to that, or is this just a new age, new era? They're adapting with the times, so to speak.
I mean, I think you know my answer. I don't like the entertainment stuff. And,
right.
It's all about today, these big personalities coming up with these big statements.
Right.
People like Skip Bayless and Stephen A. And Marcellus Wiley's probably in that conversation now because he just
says off the wall things.
Yeah, and that's pretty much ruined Sports Nation for me. I like Sports Nation when it was with Colin Cowherd.
Right.
I like Colin.
See, and I liked First Take when it was Cold Pizza, when they originally just had
that was a long time. Yeah.
Right, and they would bring in different people.
That was a whole different show. First Take is completely different now.
Right.
But yeah, it's all about making those off the wall statements that's going to get a ton of retweets.
So I guess let me ask you guys this: do you think that it has a lot to do with when you look at other platforms and other channels? One of the things that I think of is when you think of like football. Okay, obviously ESPN has Monday Night Football, but football is mainly CBS and Fox. That's where we watch most of our games because that's where it's broadcast on Sunday. The NBA is mainly TBS or TNT. And so is college basketball with the tournament, mainly on those Turner stations as well, along with CBS, and baseball being Fox. Do you think
TBS.
and TBS? Do you think that maybe they're just saying, hey, because live sports are going to other channels, should we just continue to try to keep an entertainment thing going instead of just shutting it down? This is kind of their way to try to stay afloat. Are they in more trouble than maybe we think?
I mean, something I talked to you about is how much money they're spending on these rights deals for both
Right.
The NFL and the NBA, it's like $3.4 billion combined. And for the NFL, that gets you a wild card playoff game in Monday Night Football.
Right.
And that's it.
And John Gruden for $5 million.
So for $1.9 billion or whatever they spend on football, you get 17 games in a playoff game, but you have no chance at ever getting the Super Bowl.
Right.
And so that's kind of a waste of money in my mind. I mean, I know you're getting Monday Night Football, but Amazon Prime just paid like $50 million for all Thursday night games.
Yeah, I did see that. And now, how are they going to do? So it'll
still be on NFL Network or CBS.
But now they're just going to broadcast streaming.
They did the same thing with Twitter.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So last year, Twitter paid $10 million.
Right. Yeah.
ESPN paying $1.9 billion. I know Mondays might be a little bit better than Sundays or Thursdays, but are they
really
$1.8 billion better? No.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, when we look at the Monday night matchup versus the Thursday night matchup,
Monday night
has the good games. I mean, those are the marquee games.
Thursday night's always Jaguars or Titans or an AFC South team
or Chicago.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, for us as guys who are trying to get into the sport industry, this is a huge turning point. I guess you wouldn't have ever thought that ESPN would be going through something like this.
Right. I mean, that's what it's all. I mean, like I said, it's all about getting the retweets and the Facebook shares and people like Stephen A. and Skip Bayless.
And that was the thing. They said that even though Stephen A. says off the wall stuff, the reason Stephen A. will keep his job and remain there is because no matter what he says,
he's getting views.
And he's getting social media likes. Yeah. And then they had the smart idea of bringing Mr. Ball on stage or in there with Stephen A. I see commercials for that all the time, but
and I have heard really after the layoffs, a lot of people that did get fired kind of broke the silence and said we hated what ESPN has made LeVar Ball into because they're the only ones that have been giving him attention,
right?
Essentially,
right, exactly, and they're the ones and for whatever reason, ESPN seems to buy into that thing, and I think. Because being owned by Disney, they have probably the largest platform. Yeah. I would assume. I don't know who owns CBS, but by being owned by Disney, they can pretty much do what they want. But like you said, they just find these things to cover that we don't care about.
Right.
People want LeVar Ball to go away.
Yeah.
But he keeps getting put on our television screen. So.
And it seems like it's every person on there, like Stephen A. But how does a guy like Max Kellerman? I don't know if I've ever heard him say one intelligent thing about sports.
Well,
in his time on First Take, all he does is say things like LeVar Ball.
He said Tom Brady's the best quarterback of all time. That's.
But then he said.
So he has said some intelligent things.
Tom Brady. I think he said Tom Brady's not going to be the starter after 4 games next year. So he follows it up with something outlandish, but
and what's crazy about that is Stephen A. Smith used to be a very, very good reporter when he was just covering basketball, and he was mainly Knicks and Sixers.
And he still has a very good relationship with players,
right? And that's from the hard work that he put in, before he became what he is now. And I think a lot of that might have to do with ESPN. Not necessarily but I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens here.
And going back to you saying they're getting rid of people with one sport, just covering one sport only.
Right.
Something interesting. Adam Schefter has started making tweets about NBA stuff.
Has he?
He broke the news about Paul Millsap not opting out.
Really?
Or opting out. I didn't
know that.
So maybe they've pushing him
because I know they got rid Andy Katz is gone. He's a huge college basketball guy.
Ed Werder.
They got rid of both Mark Stein and Chad Ford, both their NBA guys.
They got rid of Chad Ford.
Yes.
Wow.
So they got rid of a lot of big names that I personally trust and and they basically eliminated baseball and hockey from everything that they do. Because there's no more.
Wait, did they get rid of the hockey guy?
They got rid of McMurphy.
They got rid of 3 of their 5 reporters. Melrose is left.
Now they're not going to get rid of Melrose.
Melrose does I think he does like NASCAR. And
Well, it's because he's on sports. He talks about anything.
He talks about anything.
But,
and they also got rid of the top 2 baseball writers that they had as well. And I think Buster is the only one that they kept.
Yeah, and Buster's only there because
and Keith Law because
he's
he covers
needed for Monday Night Baseball.
Right.
Okay.
And Keith Law does the minor league stuff.
But
that's it.
But even like Jay Crawford, a guy that's been main Sports Center anchor for 14 years, he's gone.
And I think they originally, I don't know the whole circumstance, but there was a report that they released Buccigross, and then all of a sudden somehow it got taken back that they weren't.
Right, because his contract's running out, and I think there was talk that they weren't going to re-sign him.
Yeah.
Oh, so they're just going to let him run out.
Well, but it sounds like they are. They're going to re-sign him.
Oh, okay.
But maybe to like a lesser role.
Because that's like the last guy left from that I remember growing up watching.
I mean, John Anderson's been there forever.
That's true.
And
I mean Berman and those guys, but I mean,
yeah.
for anchor wise,
I mean Neil Everett.
Okay, so more than I thought. More than I originally thought.
Stan Verrett, yeah.
They say they're getting rid of the one trick pony, I guess you can say, and then they haven't officially signed him yet, but Adrian from The Vertical.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if I've ever seen that guy talk about anything
but
basketball. And I don't think he was really that popular until last summer when he was the one
I would disagree with you because to me,
he's been there for a long time. He's been the guy.
He has been that guy. I mean, for ESPN, it was Chris Broussard. Chris Broussard was like the guy that did it for ESPN. But then he left, right? But Wojciechowski, he's broken so many because he's with Yahoo Sports,
right? And I think him being on Yahoo is the reason why a lot of people say who,
right?
You know,
but he has done so many things in terms of major stories in the NBA. It's just because I think, like you said, he wasn't at ESPN, so he wasn't necessarily a recognizable name. But he might be the best basketball guy out there. But like you said, a guy that just covers basketball and ESPN saying, "Well, we're going to get rid of you if you don't do multiple sports." And like you just said, Adam Schefter. I mean, everybody knows Adam Schefter for football.
Yeah.
People don't know Adam Schefter for any other reason. But now Adam Schefter is going to cover basketball. I mean, it is what it is. So, moving on to a new topic, I thought that I would give each of us a chance to get our own little piece here. The draft was this weekend, and when I was thinking about putting this together, it was kind of ironic that the three of us, even though we went to the same school, had classes together, everything, we each cheer for different teams. So
I'm from Wisconsin.
Right.
He's from
Maine,
New England area. You're just the redheaded stepchild.
Oh, there it is. But figured that we take this time a little bit, to talk about the draft. What you like that your team did. What you don't.
We're really going to talk about all New England's 4 picks.
Hey, I mean, I don't know what Brett thought of that. He might be very upset, but Ben. I mean, Green Bay probably had the biggest draft, a very good draft.
The biggest? I don't think they had the biggest.
Oh, they had a lot. They had a lot of picks.
They had a lot of moves. They made a lot of moves. Minnesota had a lot of picks too. But, anyways, they traded down. Of course, everybody here in Wisconsin is going to be upset that they didn't pick T.J. Watt.
Yep.
A, because he's not from Wisconsin. B, because his last name's Watt. But I think Kevin King. Even at number 29, I would have wanted them to pick Kevin King.
Yeah.
So the fact that they made a trade with Cleveland to get really Kevin King and Vince Beagle for T.J. Watt, that's a steal. Yeah,
I thought it was a very good move for them to do. Fills 2 needs.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, so they got 2 impact players. But was there anything else that stuck out to you that you really liked?
Yeah, no. I mean, obviously the thing that stood out to me the most was they picked 3 running backs on the 3rd day, which I was really surprised about. And then they cut Kristen Michael yesterday. So
and there was another running back that they cut, but he was
Don Jackson. Yeah, he was. He played 1 game for us last year, but I'm really surprised there. Jamal Williams he wouldn't be in my top 10 running back group. I would have probably at that point I would have picked either Wayne Gallman or Marlon Mack, but I can't be upset with Jamal Williams. He reminds me a lot of Ryan Grant.
Yeah, and I like the other guy that they got, Aaron Jones. I've seen him play a couple games because college football, ESPN plays major games during the week, and I saw UTEP play a couple times, and I like him as.
It's funny right when they picked him, I'm like, oh no, they're going to play him at fullback. Like I can just see that happening because Packers love to have 2 or 3 fullbacks on their roster.
Yes, they do.
But if he actually plays running back, I'm rooting for him.
And another thing that I noticed that I kind of was like a little not shocked by because it was a Ted Thompson move, but he drafted 2 receivers.
Yeah.
What should we know about the receivers?
Well, the Yancey kid, who I think they got in the 5th round, I don't know. He's a guy that made a lot of plays for Purdue.
Right.
And
he's raw.
He's raw. Me and you watched a lot of Wisconsin games. He had a big game at Wisconsin, probably his biggest game of the year. So I guess we'll wait and see what he does. And as for Malachi Dupree, I mean, he was like the 10th to last pick of the draft. That's a steal. Yeah. That's definitely a steal. He reminds me a lot of Geronimo. Okay. So I think Malachi has a better chance of making the roster, and I think this means that Jeff Janis is on his way out.
Ooh. The fan favorite. Janis has been the fan favorite for the last couple of years.
When you're in your, I think it's 4th year, you gotta play. You gotta be better on offense or defense. You can't just be a special teams guy.
Right. Unless you're Devin Hester. I mean, a guy of that caliber.
A return specialist, but he's not a return specialist.
Right. So to the 4 picks that New England had, since they made 13 trades in 2 rounds. And they
also got Brandon Cooks.
Right. I mean, obviously that's a part of that draft class, but where do you sit with the guys that they took, not obviously the already established pros?
Well, from everything I heard, Derek Rivers, everybody thought should have went a little earlier in the draft, falls to 83rd. Mm-hmm. But I think they filled positions of need with guys that don't need to start this year, but will provide them depth on the line, which is something they seem to struggle with injuries a lot. Throughout the season, I'm excited to see their undrafted guys because they tend to find 1 or 2 every year, and a lot of people are excited because of Austin Carr being signed as an undrafted free agent.
I saw a picture of New England's, I think it was their starting offense. Nate Solder is the only guy that's been drafted in the 1st round that starts on their offense for them in the Super Bowl last year.
Yeah, and they're thinking Antonio Garcia could be eventually Solder's replacement because he's going to be due.
He'll be a future left tackle.
Yeah, and I mean, he didn't give up a sack in, I don't know how many games. It was I don't know if he gave up a sack last year at all.
That's possible. Troy. I mean, for the level that he played at, he was an amazing player, and I honestly wouldn't be surprised if he ended up playing guard for them before moving out to tackle as well.
Yeah, and I mean, if they can keep Dante Scarnecchia there as the coach, he seems to turn everybody in. Those 2 years he was gone, they struggled quite a bit, but I mean, they didn't really have a whole lot of needs, so getting depth is important, and then they signed 26 undrafted free agents. So
26.
And that's the Belichick way, man.
They had a lot of open rosters.
Yes, they did. And what was it? Who was the guy? The big story was about that was delivering pizza or something last year, and then started in the Super Bowl or something. There was a guy that was delivering Jimmy John's or delivering pizza, and all of a sudden he was starting in the Super Bowl for the Patriots.
Malcolm Butler was a delivery man before he was working somewhere before the Patriots signed.
Maybe that's what it was.
It was Butler, and I think Logan Ryan might have been undrafted as well. But Belichick tends to find 1 or 2 guys. A lot of people think Austin Carr will be the guy this year. I don't know if he will because they don't really need wide receivers unless they're going to cut Amendola. But they just gave him $1.5 million guaranteed.
Right.
So.
Now, the Bears had 5 picks, and a lot of people, I'm not saying me, but a lot of people are claiming the Bears had the worst draft of anyone.
They got my worst grade as well, of all mine. This draft was an absolute just storm. There would be a bleep before that word storm there if we were to use those kind of language. But this draft was absolutely awful for Chicago. moving up one spot and what they gave up was probably the most confusing thing that I could ever think of that I've ever seen. And I think I talked to you about what Kansas City had given up to move up for Mahomes.
Yeah.
And that is the expected rate of a quarterback. You give up a first round this year, a first round next year.
And Houston did the same.
Right, and Houston did the same. That's what you expect. Chicago moved up one spot. Houston made a little bit of a jump. I think they jumped up 4 spots. And Kansas City jumped up 17.
Houston jumped up about 13 spots.
Was it okay? It was double digits. So both those teams jumped up double digits to pretty much just secure their future.
Yeah.
Chicago gave up their entire draft to move up one spot for a guy that San Francisco wasn't going to take to begin with.
Did you hear what John Lynch said?
John Lynch thought they were going to take Solomon Thomas, and then said, "Well,
is it possible that San Francisco called Ryan Pace and said, hey, we're getting a lot of offers here"?
Now, that was a conversation that I had this morning with another coach
that's what I
work with. That was the conversation that we had, and I had asked him. I said, now obviously GMs are competing with one another, but I said, do you think that John Lynch would be unethical enough to flat out lie to Chicago and say, hey, all these teams are calling, you better get on it now if nobody's calling? Is that like you know what I mean?
I think people do that all the time.
I'm not saying
the Packers were saying they were going to pick Kaiser,
right?
So they were obviously not going to.
But the rumor was why they were going to pick Kaiser was because apparently they were on the verge of trading Hundley, and they were going to get the additional picks.
They weren't going to. Trust me, they weren't going to pick Kaiser.
Well,
they were going to try and get somebody to trade up above all the other teams, San Francisco. And
so I mean, you don't know. I mean, I don't know what conversation obviously was on there, but it was the most confusing thing. It was very upsetting for me. I thought that they could have traded back and got Watson, which clearly could have happened, but they chose not to.
Well, I mean, usually, Cleveland was the team that traded down for Watson. You could have said they could have picked Watson, but obviously that was not their guy. Their guy was Trubisky.
Right.
But there was no choice of getting him if Chicago was going to pick him. But same thing with Chicago. They must have been said, Mr. Trubisky, he's our guy. We're going to do anything to get him. And I'm just playing devil's advocate.
No, I understand. And the hard thing is you don't know what reports to believe. Just because right now the big ones, the ESPNs, the CBSs, the Fox Sports, they're not necessarily reporting on the same, trying to make stories out of nothing that maybe some smaller sports sites try to. But now there's a report going around that Ryan Pace went ahead and did everything without permission of John Fox. Yeah. I shouldn't say without permission, but without consulting John Fox. And obviously you need to have that GM head coach relationship if things are going to work. So now there's talk that this whole thing is going to be set up on Trubisky. If Trubisky doesn't play, both are likely going to get fired.
Mike Glennon heard nothing about it.
Mike Glennon heard nothing about it.
TO'd.
And not only that, but Adam Pace we had 5 picks. 3 of them didn't play Division I football. Not to say that you can't get guys out of lower levels, because you can. I mean, there's some guys. Jared Allen is one of the top 10 leaders in sacks. Went to Idaho State. Idaho State. You know what I mean? You get those guys.
No.
He drafted 3 in the same draft that played FCS or went to an HBCU or lower, which is very...
Really, the only pick I liked out of the Bears was Eddie Jackson. In the 4th.
Loved it.
Adam I said it before, I like Adam Shaheen, not as a second-round pick.
Exactly.
So, Tariq Cohen, not as a 4th-round pick.
He's going to be a returner, and that's really truly it.
Well, and Chicago does not need another running back. They have Howard and Langford. So.
Exactly. And they have Kadeem Carey. So,
plenty.
What Pace did here, I have no idea. He's either going to look like an absolute genius, or
I don't think so.
Or I don't either. Or him and John Fox are, unfortunately, I love John Fox. I think John Fox is a very good coach. And especially when you have a young team, to have a veteran like that, similar to what Jacksonville did by bringing in Tom Coughlin, to have that guy who's been there, done that. But unfortunately, I think Fox's future is going to be tied with Pace, and Pace just got them both fired.
I think people know well enough that Fox had nothing to do with it.
Right, and that's what I'm hoping that.
I don't think this is going to fall on him.
I'm hoping not, because I really like even though their record has gone down just since Fox has been there compared to Trestman, you see the improvement. They've just had one of the tougher schedules each of the last 3 years because the NFC North has been going through essentially the gauntlet with the scheduling as of late. So,
and last year they were close in 6 or 7 games,
right.
came down to
and I think
the last 5 minutes.
And I think this year, the NFC North, as the division, has the hardest schedules in the NFL, I believe.
I can't remember which division they're playing. In the AFC.
Is it North this year? Or was that last year?
Last
year I know they had.
Last year it was the South, I believe.
Okay. I'm not 100%.
So if it's the toughest division, they're probably playing the West.
I think that might be right. They might be playing the West.
But I want to talk about some of the better drafts this year.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the Los Angeles Chargers.
Yeah.
They got Mike Williams, number 7, maybe a little bit high, but nevertheless a good pick. Then in the second day, they not only got the best guard in the draft, Forrest Lamp, they got the second best guard in Dan Feeney, shoring up their offensive line. And then Rayshon Jenkins in the 4th. They pretty much stole Desmond King in the 5th round. Sam Tevy, they got an offensive tackle there. They shored up their offensive line, and they got another receiver for Phillip Rivers. I think that was a great draft.
Yeah, I didn't. My highest grade was just a straight A. I didn't do the whole A+ thing. But they got the highest grade that you could possibly get. Their draft was absolutely amazing. Coming in, they needed to help Phillip Rivers if they expect Phillip Rivers to continue playing. And they not only did that, they probably added 3 years to Phillip Rivers' career.
Oh, absolutely. And they didn't draft a quarterback, so that just shows that they plan on their future is still with Phillip Rivers.
Right. And well, to go off of that, the other two teams that drafted quarterbacks the same year that Phillip Rivers was drafted, the Pittsburgh Steelers and the New York Giants both drafted quarterbacks. And
so interesting there. Let's talk about the New Orleans Saints, because I was very impressed with this draft too. They had 2 first-round picks, Marshawn Lattimore at 11.
Yeah.
Didn't expect that. And then Ryan Ramczyk at 32. Yep. Both great value picks.
Yep.
Then Marcus Williams in the 2nd round, Alvin Kamara at the 3rd round, Alex Anzalone at the 3rd round, and then Trey Hendrickson in the 3rd.
The one thing that I didn't, I'm not going to say didn't like, but because obviously I think Mark Ingram's probably on his way out. But now, Alvin Kamara is going to get the chance to sit because they just signed Adrian Peterson. And I think...
But you look at both Ingram and Peterson, those are both power backs.
Right.
They need Alvin Kamara. He's a speedster.
Right. No.
He's going to be their Darren Sproles.
I just don't think... He's not going to be their starter for a while.
I'm not saying that.
Yeah, he's going to be a change of pace guy that's going to be able to sit and...
Danny Woodhead never started.
No, well, Danny Woodhead, I think, is more of a receiver, Christian McCaffrey type.
Why can't Alvin Kamara become that?
Oh, I'm not saying...
You are not a big Alvin Kamara fan.
I think he's a running back, not a receiver. Danny Woodhead, I would consider more of a receiver than a running back.
Okay.
I think...
learned 35.
Well, the number... Devin Hester wore 23, and he was a receiver. The number...
corner converted to receiver.
Right, but the number doesn't matter.
I'm just... he's not...
To me, Alvin Kamara is a running back. He's going to be a great change of pace guy that can catch the screens and do stuff you're saying. But what I'm saying is he is still a true running back, and that he's going to be a great change of pace guy, but can sit and just bide his time behind Peterson and Ingram.
I think he can be a 3rd down back. But
hey, Charles Davis from NFL.com says he can run the ball, you can throw it to him, and you can put him in different mismatches. So he will be the receiving back compared to Peterson and Ingram.
Sounds like Danny Woodhead to me, but all right. Miami Dolphins, another great draft. Charles Harris, Raekwon McMillan, Cordrea Tankersley, Isaac Asiata, Devon Godchaux, Vincent Taylor, Isaiah Ford. I was not upset with any of those picks.
Yeah, I wasn't upset with them. The one that I really liked was Raekwon McMillan for them. I thought that was probably their best pick. But the rest of it I thought was just okay.
Charles Harris at 22. I would see him picked in the 25 to 30 range.
Yeah.
But I think it's a great fit.
See, I think he's going to be. I think he's. From my understanding, do they anticipate him playing defensive end?
Yeah.
I
in a 4-3.
personally think that he would be a better fit as an outside linebacker.
I think most people would disagree with you.
And I think that I don't think it's going to be a fit. I don't think he's going to.
I compare him to Cameron Wake, so, and I think, he's listed right here as defensive end, so.
No, I'm not saying he didn't. He played
he was
defensive
in our top 10 defensive linemen.
I think he's going to be a better outside linebacker.
In a 4-3?
He would be a better outside linebacker in a 3-4.
Okay.
Than as a defensive end. That's
all right.
That's where.
You could say the same thing about Cameron Wake, but
right.
I think in the system they play in, you could maybe more of a hybrid. We'll see.
Yeah.
And then one more team I wanted to talk about was Philly, the home team.
Yep. I just want to say, Chicago, you even disappointed me a little bit more because when we had the draft, it was nowhere close to what that Philly crowd brought.
Yeah,
that Philly crowd brought it.
That was exciting. It was exciting to watch. It was fun to watch. I wanted to be there. But let's talk about. They got Derek Barnett at 14.
Yeah.
Sidney Jones in the second round. A lot of people concerned that Sidney Jones might miss the first half of the season, but then they went on and picked another cornerback in the third round, Rasul Douglas, Matt Collins, Donnell Pumphrey, Shelton Gibson, Nathan Jerry, and Elijah Qualls. I think a lot of good picks here.
Yeah, and what's and a lot of people, whether you're worried about Sidney Jones or not, I think Philadelphia's needed to address their secondary. Their secondary was bad, but they were still a quality team, and obviously the future of that team is going to be built around Carson Wentz. So by adding Sidney Jones, you didn't really do anything to change your secondary. But 2 years from now, if Rasul Douglas gets the experience this year, you bring in a first-round talent like Sidney Jones, that next year, even if he sits all of this next season, you just reformed your entire secondary with one draft. Plus, you'll have your picks next year as well to if it still struggles to add to that secondary. Who
do they have at cornerback right now besides
Nolan Carroll?
I think he left in free agency.
They cut Eric Rowe last year.
That they did, and they traded Maxwell to Philly or to
that was last year.
Let's see. So I honestly don't know.
So nevertheless they need help at defensive back. And they got it. So.
But their draft was really good, and they even went out and added more weapons for Carson Wentz, even though they signed Torrey Smith and Alshon Jeffrey. Getting Matt Collins and Shelton Gibson, two guys that they can kind of develop, and try to continue.
Now, I want to talk about. I'm not saying they had a great. They had 3 first-round picks, so it's hard not to say they had a bad draft. Yeah, the Cleveland Browns. Myles Garrett, number 1, no surprise here.
Yep.
Then they traded down to pick Peppers. Let me ask you, is this a good fit for him?
Fit-wise, I don't know.
Because we were talking about, maybe bringing him to Seattle or New England.
Right, somebody that would use him the way that he should be used. Funny comment I heard this morning was that Cleveland Brown actually showed up on draft day and actually showed up to the real NFL draft this year in having a draft. But Garrett was obviously the no-doubter. I think Njoku was a great fit for them.
I agree.
At that spot. But to get to your question about Jabril Peppers, I think the reason they drafted Jabril Peppers is because whatever we want to say about Greg Williams, he was the head of the Bounty Gate situation. And the dude knows how to rush the quarterback. He knows how to put blitz packages together and get after the quarterback. Yeah. And I think he might have been the driving force behind this.
Yeah, for sure.
They need people that can get to the quarterback. And I think if Greg Williams can find the perfect scheme, scenario, situations to use Peppers, they're going to look incredibly genius for making this pick. Mm-hmm. But I think that's got to be a TBD right now, just because you don't know. Because Cleveland, in the past, has made so many picks that you're just like, what? and it just doesn't seem, for whatever reason, to work out in their favor. This kid is undeniably talented. I mean, there's no doubt about the talent. It's just whether they find a way to use him correctly.
He'll be their punt returner.
Right, at least, right. And not only that, but I mean, you talk about you keep going down their draft. Roderick Johnson can end up being a starter for them at tackle.
Ogunjobi.
They drafted a guy that they're probably going to sit for a year in Deshaun Kaiser, but Kaiser could have the highest ceiling of anybody just because of his raw athletic
Right.
abilities at the quarterback position. And then a guy that I think we both kind of liked, they got super late, and that was Matthew Days, who's just an everything.
Second to last pick of the draft.
Everything kind of guy, scat back that just is a good football.
Yeah, and I think, you can pair him up with Kroll at running
Right.
back. And they also have Duke Johnson.
Yeah.
So, I think he's a guy that you can put in, he's a good, probably the best pass blocker out of all the running backs this draft.
The one thing is obviously people are going to keep saying, well, they didn't get that quarterback. They didn't get that quarterback. Whether or not Kaiser becomes that guy or not, Cleveland has a chance, I think, to be maybe down the road in a year or two what the Dallas Cowboys were 2 years ago. When Romo got hurt, they went 4-12. They added Elliott. They were bad, but they had all the pieces, and they just kind of gently pushed Dak Prescott out there. But because he had all the pieces to be successful,
Right.
Cleveland, I think, could be that team in a couple of years.
Well, and I don't think Browns fans wanted to see a quarterback in the first round because you look at all their quarterbacks: Manziel, Brady Quinn, Tim Couch,
Brandon
Weeden. So many quarterbacks in the first round that just become busts.
Yeah.
And Deshaun Kaiser at the second round, that's a value pick.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
I know that was not what you wanted.
I don't want to see him go there, but it gives him an opportunity to play possibly this year.
The best players got to go on the worst teams.
Yes, that's right.
It's not like he can be any worse than what they already have.
Yeah. There was one other draft one that I wanted to bring up that I thought who had a phenomenal draft was the Buffalo Bills. Even this whole situation is just messy because they fired their GM the day after the draft is over,
and all their scouts.
But they picked some good players. I mean, Tre'Davious White is going to be, I think, a starting corner for them right away, who was one of the better corners in this draft, I thought. Where they got him, trading back and still able to get him, was a great pick for them.
Right.
They added Zay Jones, who's going to be able to come in right away. Deion Dawkins could probably come in and possibly start right away. But then they also, whether or not McDermott, the whole situation with the GM being connected to the head coach, somebody might McDermott might be there 1 year, he might be the long-term guy. But then they added possibly the sleeper pick of all quarterbacks, Nathan Peterman. I thought they had a really good draft, despite the fact that they fired everybody the next day.
I mean, just doing them dirty. What else is there? The only thing there is to do for the GMs and scouts now, or really the GM, is to pick the 53. And they could pass that along to McDermott.
Right.
Like the owners could say, McDermott, you're going to choose our 53. They just let him play, let him stay until November or something.
Right. And what I saw was that the reason they fired him was they tied it to the record that the team had. But if that's the case, you would have fired him when you fired Rex Ryan. Exactly. So
that's just I can't imagine that getting done with this big draft. Saying, "Oh, we did it! Congratulations, you're fired."
Yeah.
Oh.
And another bonehead, confusing thing to me: Minnesota declined the option on Teddy Bridgewater. Now, obviously, a lot of that probably has to do with the injury, which is understandable. But Teddy Bridgewater has done nothing but win games for them. Is Sam Bradford their future? Is that what they're telling us?
I think so. I think that's what it is. I think they gave him an extension. I think, or Bradford came to Minnesota with already a big extension.
Yeah, he had got the extension from the Eagles.
Yeah, so obviously that's what it looks like to me. I don't think his progress must not be good.
Right.
So
he might.
And so this came out like 5 minutes ago, a guy saying that Bridgewater suffered nerve damage and the nerves are not regenerating. So a lot like Jalen Smith and the Cowboys, Smith is now regenerating. But Bridgewater's a year.
So Bridgewater could miss a whole other season potentially.
And that's a lot like Marcus Lattimore, who got drafted by the 49ers, really never played a snap.
Yeah.
And from what I gathered, they didn't want to exercise the option because it's guaranteed money. They want to re-sign him, but they don't want to give him the guaranteed money where they don't know if he's going to be able to play.
Yeah,
it's a bummer, though.
Yeah, it does.
Non-contact injury in practice, and he's got the worst ACL tear you can get.
Another guy getting declined, Calvin Pryor from the Jets. That was kind of seen after after they took 2 safeties.
Right, they got Jamal Adams and then Marcus May in the second round.
Yeah, that was.
Apparently, they were shopping Pryor.
Yes, they were
in the draft. So I like Calvin Pryor. Hasn't lived up to his 14th overall pick,
right.
But.
And then another one that kind of confused me, especially after they took a running back again in the draft. Jamal Charles is in Denver. Meeting with the Broncos.
Well, they didn't draft a running back until
they drafted Foreman, I believe. No, he went to Houston.
That was in our mock draft.
Oh, that's right. They drafted a running back though.
No, they picked D'Angelo Henderson in the 6th round.
That was the only running back they added.
6th, yeah. Okay. So I don't know. I mean,
it would be a great fit for them, I think, if they went that way.
No. I mean, he's familiar with all the defenses in the West, so
that he is. On to the biggest thing going right now, the NBA playoffs.
Yes.
As the second round has officially started.
When's the lottery? That's all I want to know.
June 22nd, I think.
Really?
Is when they announce it?
I think that's
the
lottery is.
No.
I want to say it's like May 22nd.
Yeah, it's going to be
the
like
draft is June.
Yeah, right. And then the award show. Don't forget about the award show after the draft.
May 16th is the lottery.
Award shows like mid-season next year.
Yeah, basically. But the matchups that we're going to see here in the second round, Cleveland showed up last night. So we have the Raptors.
It's the playoffs. That's when they show up.
Exactly. Toronto, Cleveland. I mean, I think, can we say it's a 3-way unanimous? Who's advancing here?
I think they'll sweep.
They'll sweep. Do you have them sweeping?
I don't have them sweeping.
Toronto
they struggled with the Pacers too much for me to have them sweeping.
Well, and I saw last night the over-under for score was 209 points. At home, Toronto, for whatever reason, is a different beast. I don't know.
But, I mean, how big
if they don't sweep, Toronto's going to get one win, and that's it. Because
was Cleveland up like 18 yesterday or 19 yesterday? To begin,
something like that.
Like after the first quarter or so?
Something like that.
And I think it got back to like 6.
Yeah, but at the end of the game, I don't think they didn't play anybody at the end of the game, though. They had, Darren Williams, Channing Frye, I think Korver was in, Shumpert and Smith, maybe.
Korver's been kind of I don't want to call him a bust with Cleveland, but I don't think he
hasn't done what they thought,
that
right.
they expected.
He's over the hill.
A game that shocked me, the Houston Rockets San Antonio Spurs game was not how I anticipated it.
And I think the Rockets are going to win this series.
Okay.
I think it'll go in 7.
Yeah.
But I'm going to pick Houston because, I just think matchup-wise, I think they got it. Really, the only player they need to worry about is Kawhi.
Yeah.
LaMarcus Aldridge has not been playing the way he should be.
Right.
Pau Gasol's kind of hit a wall at mid-season.
Yep.
But the Rockets are on fire. James Harden can't miss. Patrick Beverley was just unbelievable in the last series. I see
and Capella had a very, very good game last night.
Oh my gosh, Clint Capella, he's turned it up.
The guy that nobody knew.
He's kind of this year's Bismack Biyombo.
Yes, he is, and he's going to get a huge, huge contract.
I thought we were going to have like 6 players thrown out of that game in the fourth quarter yesterday. The rate they were. I think there was like 8 technicals assessed in the fourth quarter.
And I know, what was it? Who was the guy? Was it DeHonte Jones that got tossed from the Cleveland game?
From Cleveland, yeah.
Yeah.
He was only making $9,000. He had to pay 6 of it.
Yeah, and LeBron said he was going to take care of it for him. What a nice guy. On to your team, Brett. Boston is already up 1-0 on the Wiz. What do you anticipate?
So they were down 16-0 after 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And then they outscored the Wizards 123-95 the rest of the game. But, it's going to take, I think, at least 6 for them to have a chance at advancing. I think they're going to start to settle down now that the funeral's in the past.
Right.
Isaiah won't be traveling to
Does he have a new tooth yet?
It's supposed to be done yesterday.
Okay.
But they're using that as like a slogan now. The tooth don't fear us or something.
What?
I don't know. There's a bunch of Boston sports sites that are using it as like a meme type or a slogan.
All right.
And they're playing tonight, so by the time this is posted, either it's going to be tied 1-1 or they'll be up 2-0.
So.
And I have a better idea on this matchup. Dakota told me that he thought Boston was extremely overrated when they were down 2-0 to Chicago. and he said that they're going to lose to a team that barely made the playoffs. So I took it upon myself to message him and say, Boston will win the next 4. They will beat whoever they play in the next round and go to the Eastern Conference Championship. And he responds with, if you want to make a bet on that, Wizards are going to sweep.
Oh.
And
well,
as a nice gentleman, I wasn't going to turn him down. So, of course, I took that.
I will say, if Rondo would have played, I think the Celtics are at home. I really do.
Okay.
Because, well, by the time we got to Game 6, both didn't care at that point anyway.
Right.
But
Rondo was a big, huge factor.
If Rondo plays in Game 4 or 5, they'd
be playing Game 7. You said go home. Okay.
I think they'd be going home. They wouldn't be in this series. The Bulls would be getting swept by the Wizards.
Okay.
But Rondo was a huge factor. Yeah. I don't know when he broke his hand because he played all of Game 2.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Broke it at some point, and now that the Celtics have settled in, I think it's going to be much more dangerous for them, for the Wizards. And I mean, obviously, that whoever wins is probably facing Cleveland.
Right.
I don't know. I don't think either team will get by, but they should be able to push the Cavaliers a little bit.
On to the final matchup here. We have the boring city of Salt Lake and the Utah Jazz, with apparently the guys that enjoy going out all the time. That's why they wanted to play the Clippers, and that was the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah.
Do the Jazz... This is obviously a contrast of style here.
Mm-hmm.
Big contrast. And then you never bet against the Warriors with the way they're playing. But Steve Kerr obviously is been out with some sort of illness, so Mike Brown has taken over. Something that the Warriors have been through before, as why Luke Walton is a head coach. Does Utah have a chance here?
Man, the Jazz were a fun team to watch in the last game. I don't know, unless you're a diehard Clippers fan, you were rooting for the Jazz to win, and Joe Johnson has just been great.
Yes.
So has Gobert and Hayward, but it's hard to bet against the Warriors at this point.
Yeah,
and from what I saw, Gordon Hayward has his worst numbers versus any team with Golden State. He just hasn't shot the ball well. He's like 22% from 3 versus them and like 31% from the field.
Yeah.
Whereas this year he was like, I think he shot close to 50% from the field and 39% from 3. But in his games versus Golden State, he only averaged 15 points. So unless he figures out how to, because they're going to force the tempo, they're going to pick the tempo up, and that's obviously the opposite of the Jazz. But unless he starts to click when he has to play at higher tempo, then Utah doesn't stand much of a chance.
Yeah. So for that final round, if we end up getting Golden State and Houston, can we expect a 200 to 199 type game?
Man, yeah, it's going to be all out. It's going to be like an all-star game.
Basically, it's going to be bad. An interesting thing that came out this morning regarding FIBA, which nobody really
basketball,
I guess follows in terms of most people follow the Olympics, not necessarily the World Championship, so to speak.
Yeah.
The NBA has said because it's in the middle of the season, they are not going to give the players the rights to play for their country. So, foreign players are not going to be allowed to play for their country and NBA players are not going to be allowed to play for the U.S.
So, wait, they're switching it to the middle of the season now?
It's going to be in, I believe, December, because the NBA has said they are not releasing any of their, they're not giving their players the rights to leave.
Why aren't they doing it in the summer anymore?
Not sure.
Okay.
But so the NBA has said that they're going to move forward with D-League players and players that are playing overseas in other leagues but are American. And then that's how but this is just for the qualifying. So in order to qualify to get in, the NBA is going to use those players. But if the USA qualifies, then they're going to use the NBA players.
What?
Yes.
Oh, that's
so the qualifying matchups are going to be in the middle of the season. And they're going to use D-League and overseas American players.
In the summer?
No, over the winter. To qualify for the tournament.
The qualifiers are in December, but are the actual games in December?
I don't think so. They're going to use NBA players for that.
Well, I feel like that's...
But they're not going to allow...
That's what they read.
They're not going to allow anybody that plays in the NBA to play in the qualifying matchups. So we're going to see a D-League team.
USA is going to get in no matter.
I don't know why it's qualifying. I mean, the qualifiers from August 25th to September 3rd.
Yeah.
So I don't know why the NBA wouldn't.
Maybe they don't. I don't know. But either way,
because another thing that came out that the NBA said they're going to talk about hiring multiple head coaches for USA related basketball because they're not going to let Popovich coach the qualifying matches either. So they're going to need a new guy or somebody else to be the head coach for the qualifying matchups. And then Pop will be able to coach in the summer matchups. I don't
know.
I'm trying to find out the date because the actual World Cup is not until 2019. Looks like it runs from August 31st to September 15th. So even then,
that's the
World Cup.
That's the actual tournament. We're talking about the qualifying matchups.
And the qualifying is what I just said a minute ago, which is like the August 23rd to September 3rd. So I don't know why there is an issue, but obviously the NBA doesn't want.
It's almost as if like they're following the suit of hockey.
I mean, but can you blame?
No, you can't blame them at all.
Hockey's a completely different issue because it's 3 weeks in the dead middle of the season.
Right.
But I mean, you're going to get to see some of the guys like this. Like if this would have happened a couple years ago, this could have been a chance for Sean Kilpatrick to have that coming out party, whereas it took him.
And for me, I'm kind of excited because the guy that won the D-League MVP this year, Vander Blue, played at Marquette. So it's exciting. It would be exciting to be able to see him play on that stage.
Did he win the MVP this year?
I believe so. I know he was first team.
Yeah, Rookie of the Year. I was thinking because Abdul Nadir of the Maine Red Claws won Rookie of the Year, I believe. But,
but Vander got first team All D-League and I believe got the MVP.
Won
as well.
MVP, setting his sights on the NBA.
Oh boy!
So for a fourth time, and he's going to try to make the league. That's all I got. Do we have any? Who is he, Ben? Who did he play for?
I can get somebody. I was thinking of somebody. I'm not sure if we've had this guy.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like we have.
Okay.
But we're going to do him again.
If it is a repeat.
Hopefully it's better than last time.
But
no, last time was okay.
It
was JT Sullivan. JT O'Sullivan was.
Actually, we're not going to do him because I feel like we have done him.
Can you tell us who it was?
Sean Livingston.
We did not do. We did Kevin Ollie.
I think we talked about Livingston.
All right, we'll do Sean Livingston.
Okay.
All right, we'll start with Richie.
He played with the Golden State Warriors.
Correct.
How many teams we got?
Oh boy. 1, 2, 3.
Now, did he go overseas?
I'm not counting over. I'm just counting NBA.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 teams.
8 teams.
Come on, Brett.
Sean Livingston.
The team that drafted him.
Yeah, that's.
Wasn't the Warriors.
Well, you think I paid attention to Sean Livingston's career?
He was going to be a monster until he had that freak accident.
That was a big draft. But I mean, all of them were busts. Sebastian Telfair.
Right, because he was. Was that the last year high school guys could go?
It was like the second to last.
Yeah.
But it was like the big year everybody was coming out.
Yeah.
I think that was the year Dwight Howard went.
That's possible.
Yeah, that was the year Dwight Howard went first.
I'm gonna go.
Man,
I don't want to blow it here right on the second one.
You're going to.
Probably. I'm gonna go Atlanta.
Atlanta Hawks.
There it is. There's the killer.
There's the killer.
But you got to. Let's see how far you can go.
The Milwaukee Bucks.
Yes.
Is that who drafted him?
No.
The LA Clippers drafted him.
Oh.
Yep.
So we got the Clippers, the Bucks, and I said the Warriors.
Yep.
I'm trying to think where he all played.
Okay, so before the Warriors is when he really lit it up, and
that's when he got his big deal.
Yep.
That wasn't the Wizards, was it?
It was not, but he played for the Wizards.
He did play for the Wizards. Okay.
Sounds like a guy that would play for the 76ers too.
No.
He did not play for the 76ers.
The Heat?
He played for the Heat. That's not the team I'm thinking of.
I got 5 already. Look at that, Brett. Come on, you couldn't even come up with one. I still haven't got one wrong yet. This is disappointing in you. Okay, I still can't think of the team that you
this team, their point guard...
He didn't play for Dallas, did he?
No. Their point guard was hurt, and he came in and kind of took over.
Phoenix?
No.
Oh, okay.
Think of a point guard that gets hurt a lot.
Chicago?
He did play for Chicago. No, he didn't. I'm sorry. I always think he played for Chicago. Never mind.
Point guard. I figured Derrick Rose.
He's still playing right now.
Utah?
No.
Darren Williams? Oh, so Brooklyn.
Yeah, there you go. All right, a team that does not exist anymore.
The Sonics.
No.
What? Oh, the Hornets. No, not the Hornets. They exist.
Vancouver? No.
Are you kidding me?
The Grizzlies are a team.
Well, yeah, but
Okay,
they're
this
not-
team does exist, but they changed their name. So their old name.
Well, the Thunder changed,
Oh, boy.
and the Hornets.
What was their original name?
They were the Hornets, but they changed to the Pelicans. Oh, the Bobcats. Oh,
Okay,
jeez.
the OKC Thunder.
He did play for the Thunder?
Yep, and the Cavs.
Who was his breakout team?
His breakout team was the Nets.
It wasn't that stuff.
And I think he had a couple games for the Cavs.
Because he had a really good year that first year with Golden State. I remember.
Well, right.
I mean, they won the championship.
He's quietly one of the best six men in the league.
Yeah, he's
Very
very
quietly. A lot of people think of Iguodala and Ian Clark's had a big year.
Yeah.
But hey, Sean Livingston, he's got a great mid-range.
Yes, he does.
On 2K.
and what's disappointing about him is he was really starting to find his groove and get into his own with the Clippers, and then he went up for that dunk and came down, and both of his knees went out, and just it's so unfortunate.
So I'm going to go through the 2004 draft.
Ooh, okay.
So Dwight Howard, first overall, second
overall was Ben Gordon.
Emeka Okafor.
Or Okafor.
Third overall
was Ben Gordon.
Fourth overall, Sean Livingston.
Telfair's fifth, right?
Fifth was Devin Harris.
Yep, and then who picked sixth?
Sixth was the Hawks.
Is that Sheldon Williams?
No.
Oh.
A couple years before.
Couple years before. The Hawks. Ooh, I don't know. Who they would have taken
From
that.
Stanford.
Josh Childress?
Josh Childress.
Oh my goodness, he went sixth overall.
Seventh overall was the Suns, but it was traded to Chicago. Probably one of the best picks of this draft.
04.
He's not American.
Is he still with Chicago?
He is not with Chicago.
One of the better picks of this draft when he played with Chicago.
I'm trying to think where he is right now. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Well, that doesn't sound very good.
He's a good player. He's on a really crappy Luol-Deng.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
This was a big bust. Number 8, I'm just going to Rafael Araujo with the Raptors.
Don't know who that is.
Number 9, an all-star. Not right now, but he was picked by the 76ers.
In 04?
76ers, he was kind of AI's second partner.
Iguodala? Yeah.
Number 10.
Second AI.
Number 10, big bust for the Cavs.
Was it the guy that's coaching now?
Yes.
Luke Jackson.
Luke Jackson.
Played at Oregon.
Number 11, this guy had a couple good years on the bench. With the Warriors, my bad.
He was drafted by the Warriors?
But he was overall, a bust.
Number 11?
I'm going to give it away. Andris Biedrins.
Oh, yeah. Did he play with you for a little while over there in Boston?
Who knows? They had a lot of guys when they were bad, but they just...
All right, well, I'm just going to roll through a couple. Robert Swift at 12.
Yep,
Sebastian
Sonics.
Telfair at 13. Chris Humphries at 14. Al Jefferson at 15. Kirk Snyder.
Celtics.
Kirk Snyder at 16.
Yep.
The other Josh from the Hawks, Josh Smith at 17.
Like Josh Smith as in...
Josh Smith, as in the guy that can dunk.
He was that year. I didn't know he was that... I thought he was the last year that high school guys could get drafted.
J.R. Smith at 18. He's still in the
New
league.
Orleans.
Tony Allen at 25.
Yeah.
Let's see.
04. Who did Milwaukee take that year? Did they not have a first round?
Let me see.
They would have still been somewhat decent, I think.
I don't think they had a first rounder.
So then their second round would that have been Ilyasova?
Let me see. I don't. Oops, these are a lot of no names here. They must have picked some European guy that never came over.
It's possible.
I don't see him anywhere. But I think that's a good way to end our show.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope this solved a lot of your problems or was wondering about the draft or ESPN or the playoffs. We'll have a lot more draft content coming up for you. A lot of good stuff. We're gonna try and go team by team.
Yeah.
All 32. But thank you guys so much for watching our draft videos. We got a lot of good views, a lot of good comments, a lot of not good comments, but we appreciate all of them. We appreciate all of them. Thank you, Richie. Thank you, Brett. Next time we're gonna be somewhere else.
Yeah.
Hopefully. We're gonna get some good mics too. So.
Yeah.
But anyways, thank you so much and have a great week.